Welcome to Pickering Creek Audubon Center. My name is Mary Helen, and I'm going to introduce you to all of my wonderful colleagues who are going to show you some of the great things that you can do while coming out to visit our center.
Hi, I'm Sammy Osher. I'm one of the educators here at Pickering Creek. We are really excited to share some cool local field trip ideas with local families today.
We've got 5 miles of trails, lots to explore, lots to see, and they're over all sorts of terrain. So they're through the woods and over roots and grassed trails as well. And you do need to watch out for mud. There is a lot of it.
Pickering Creek is a great place for you and your family to come out and walk the trails, look for some cool signs of spring and the nature, and have a great time together.
When I'm out here in the forest of Pickering Creek, I like to listen to bird songs. I like to look up into the trees and see how they change over the seasons. I love it when it's fall and the leaves are golden and they're falling to the ground, or when it's spring, like it is right now, and you start to see the tiny little buds coming out, and then eventually there'll be an explosion of green.
The garden you see right here behind me is just a few steps away from the parking area. We'd love for you to come out and have a visit and check out our garden space. It might not look like a lot right now, but in a mere few weeks, it'll begin to transform into its place of spring beauty. This garden, which is our pollinator island bed and other garden areas that students and other community members have helped us to transform, is a bird and wildlife friendly area where we use native plants that then extend really important habitat to birds, insects, and other wildlife. And right next to this garden space, you'll notice a sundial here installed by Chesapeake Bay Herb Society. It's a fun way to sort of explore and figure out the time of day when you visit. There are picnic areas. So you can always come out to Pickering Creek Audubon Center, bring a bag lunch, have fun under the shade of the trees in the picnic area, both there and next to the classroom. And also, while you're there, come by and stop by the herb garden that they also maintain. It has adorable little walking paths, and in the spring and summer, it's a great opportunity to not only come out and look and enjoy herbs, but also come in and smell herbs up close.
A really great activity to do with your family on the trails is to stop and listen for signs of wildlife around you. And sometimes it's hard to pick out the specific sounds, and so a great way to listen for all these different types of wildlife is by using what I like to call your deer ears. Deer have those long, thin, pointed ears that help them pick up different types of sound from different directions. So you can make your own deer ears by cupping your hands like this and placing them behind your ears, and then that helps you hear sound that's coming just from a specific direction. So first you can try listening for different kinds of wildlife, and you can turn in different directions and see what you can hear. I hear birds and squirrels and a truck driving on the lane. And then try it again with your deer ears and see if you hear anything else. So you can cup your hands like this and listen, and as you turn in different directions on the trails, you might pick up different sounds. I hear a lot more birds now. And what sounds like some squirrels rustling in the ground. So this is a fun activity to do with your family as well. You can try seeing how far away you can get from each other until your deer ears can't pick up your family members any longer on the trail. It really gives you a good idea of why those deers can hear us from so far away. So I hope you're able to hear some pretty cool wildlife out on the trails with your deer ears.
If you are interested in watching wildlife, you could bring a pair of binoculars, and they work really well. So what they do is they help you to see things that are further away a little bit more up close. So when you have your binoculars, you always want to keep them around your neck to keep them nice and safe. Your binoculars will bend together and pull apart, and this is going to be different for everybody, but you're going to put them in a place that helps you to see one picture. The other thing is binoculars will always have a chance to open up some little eye cups here. And those eye cups, if you are not wearing glasses, are great when they are out. If you do wear glasses, you can keep them rolled up. So when I look for birds, I'm going to look with my bare eyes and see if I can find movement. If I hear a song or find movement, then I'm going to hold my binoculars right underneath my eyes, and with a bird in sight, I'm going to flip them up. And it'll be right in my line of sight. In this wooded area, there are lots of little birds flying around. It's really fun to see if you can figure out what kind of bird you see, and also how many different kinds of birds you can see.
When you come here, make sure to come to the back dock. It's my favorite spot on the property. Located on Pickering Creek itself, you can see birds like ospreys flying overhead. You can look in the water and you can see skates, rays, blue crabs, and jellyfish. Or it's just a nice place to relax and just be outside in the nice sun and with a beautiful view. So make sure you come back to the back dock for sure.
This is our freshwater pond, and the pond is another really great habitat for a lot of different types of wildlife. So there's a lot to see and hear around the pond. As you first walk up to the pond, if you're very quiet, you might be lucky enough to hear some frogs jumping into the water as you walk up to them. You may even see some larger animals like turtles sitting around the edges of the pond. They like to sit in the sun so they can get nice and warm since they are cold-blooded. But there's not just cool wildlife here, there's also really cool plants and trees. And some of my favorite plants to see are these cypress trees, which go up pretty high and have really cool thin wispy branches. But cypress trees like to live near the water, and so they have really special roots, and they look like this. These little knobs sticking up, and we call them cypress knees because it looks like the trees have knees that are sticking up above the ground. And they have these knees because tree roots actually need to be able to breathe, to have air. And if they live near this really waterlogged wet soil, they don't get enough air in the wet soil, and so they poke up their little knees above the ground in order to get some air. So there's some pretty cool things to see.
Along the trail, you'll see some boxes that are great nesting boxes for birds. This box is used especially by eastern bluebirds and often by tree swallows, which is a migratory bird that just comes here for the spring and summer months and then leaves in the fall and winter. Around the bluebird and tree swallow boxes, you'll see a predator guard, and that helps to prevent predators like snakes from getting into the box and eating the eggs inside. This meadow is called a warm season grass meadow, and the bunchy grasses are really fantastic habitat for small mammals like rabbits, for larger mammals like foxes, as well as lots of different species of birds and pollinators. One thing I love to do when I come out to this site is certainly to look for those birds and mammals, but I love to look especially for butterflies. And if you come out over the course of the whole season, from spring all the way through fall, you'll be able to see lots of different kinds of butterflies that visit this meadow as different kinds of flowers come up and bloom.
So here we are on one of our forest trails, and there is so much to see and do in the forest. One of my favorite activities to do on the trails that only involves a crayon and a piece of paper, which you can bring from home, are bark and leaf rubbings. So if you are very careful, you can kind of walk over to the side of one of these trees that has a cool texture on the bark. And all you have to do to take a cool bark rubbing is to hold up a piece of blank paper to the bark and then put your crayon on its side and rub it on the bark like this. And you end up getting really cool texture on your paper from the bark. And the harder you press, the more color and pattern you'll see. You have to press really hard. There it goes. And then it looks just like the pattern from the tree, which is pretty cool. And then you can take it home with you.
So coming out and hiking on the trails is a really fun experience, and it's just a great time for you and your entire family.
We hope to see you on the trails soon. You can come back all year round because all the seasons are beautiful at Pickering Creek.
We're open every day. You can check our website for the hours. There are 4 miles of trails for you to explore, 400 acres, all kinds of different habitats, forests, wetlands, meadows, and agricultural fields, and they're all here for you. Come out and visit us soon.
Go exploring, have fun.